All right, so today we're diving into a world of mystery and secrets with The Last Thing He Told Me.
Ooh, sounds intriguing.
We're working with excerpts from Lauradave's novel.
Okay.
Which means piecing together clues, like detectives.
I like it.
But without giving away any spoilers, think you're up for the challenge.
Absolutely. It's like we're getting a sneak peek behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Just enough to get us hooked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's start with the disappearance at the heart of it all. We meet a woman whose life is turned upside down when her husband Owen vanishes.
Vanishes, like completely gone.
Poof, gone. But he leaves behind a note, a missing sailboat, and a teenage stepdaughter who seems to be hiding something. What do you make of these initial clues?
It's definitely a clever way to draw you in. Starting with these incomplete puzzle pieces, it creates instant suspense. Makes you question Owen's reliability from the get-go.
Right, and that question of reliability just keeps growing as the protagonist digs deeper. Well, the more she uncovers about Owen's past, the more she realizes she might not have known him as well as she thought.
It's like that classic fear we all have, right? Of hidden identities. But in this case, it's not a stranger, it's the person you share your life with.
Exactly. And then she finds herself following these cryptic clues, leading her all the way to Austin, Texas.
Austin. Interesting choice.
Right. What do you think about the setting?
Well, Austin has that unique vibe, you know? Music scene, tech, and a whole lot of heat. It's like a place where secrets could easily get lost and danger could be lurking around any corner.
Oh, I totally agree. And speaking of secrets, Owen's past is a tangled web. We learn he's connected to some powerful organizations. And they're not happy about the protagonist poking around.
Now it's getting serious. So we've got a missing husband, a potentially fake identity, a mysterious setting, and a possible conspiracy brewing.
You got it. And then we get these excerpts from Owen's perspective.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's like we're seeing the world through his eyes, but can we trust what we see?
That's the question, isn't it? Is he a master manipulator, or is he a victim caught in something bigger?
Exactly. Like that scene at the hotel bar during the storm.
Yeah.
You can just feel the weight of his secrets. What did you make of that?
It's almost like he's trapped, you know? Torn between protecting his family and something from his past.
Yeah, and those conversations with Bailey about college are so interesting.
What about them?
They call them non-facts, these little details that don't quite add up. It's like there's a deeper truth hidden beneath the surface.
I see, like puzzle pieces that don't quite fit.
Exactly. And then that trip to the University of Texas at Austin throws another wrench in the works.
Why is that?
It raises all these questions. What's Owen's connection to the university? What secrets are buried in Bailey's memories? It's like every new piece of information just deepens the mystery.
Makes you want to keep reading to find out what happened.
Oh, absolutely. And those flashbacks to Owen and the protagonist's early days, their courtship and marriage.
Bittersweet, isn't it?
It is. Seeing those moments of happiness, knowing what's coming, it's tough.
It really adds to the emotional roller coaster of the story.
For sure. Then we meet Grady Bradford. Talk about a wild card. He's a U.S. Marshal connected to Owen somehow, but his motives are a complete mystery. Ally. Threat. Something else entirely.
He's definitely one of the most enigmatic characters we've encountered so far. You just can't quite figure him out.
Right. And those excerpts about Owen's work with the shop and his relationship with his business partner, Yvette, they complicate things even more.
In what way?
It's like Owen's deception might run deeper than just a hidden identity. It's tied to something bigger, more sinister.
Wow, the stakes just keep getting higher.
They do. And then those conversations with Carl and Patty, Owen's friends, they show just how far the consequences of his actions reach. It's like a domino effect, with each lie causing more damage.
It's a reminder that our choices always have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for those around us.
So true. And just when you think it can't get any worse, the FBI shows up. Talk about a turning point. Their interrogation of the protagonist is intense, and those veiled threats about Bailey are chilling.
It really shows you the kind of dangerous people Owen might be entangled with.
Exactly. And it leads to the protagonist's decision to follow her lawyer's advice and go dark, cutting off all contact with anyone who might be connected to Owen.
Smart move, considering the circumstances.
Right. And then there's that scene at Bailey's school.
What happened?
It's heartbreaking. Bailey's confronted by other kids about her father's alleged crimes.
Oh, that's rough. Kids can be so cruel.
They can. It's a reminder that even in the midst of personal tragedy, the world keeps spinning and people can be incredibly insensitive.
Absolutely. So the protagonist decides to pull Bailey out of school to protect her.
She does. It's a powerful moment. And Bailey reveals that she's been repressing memories about her mother.
Whoa, another layer to the mystery.
It is. It adds this whole other dimension to their relationship.
How so?
It's like they're both searching for something, for answers about the past, for a sense of belonging.
And in a way, they find it in each other.
Exactly. They become a team united against the unknown. And the protagonist makes a decision. She says she'll do anything to make Bailey feel okay again.
That's a powerful statement. It shows the depth of her love and commitment to Bailey.
It does, and it sets the stage for their journey to Austin together. But before we get there, what are your first impressions of the protagonist?
I think she's incredibly relatable, thrown into this crazy situation. She's not a superhero, just an ordinary woman trying to navigate a dangerous world.
I agree. And what about Owen? Villain, victim, something in between?
It's hard to say. We're getting glimpses of his past, but we're still missing crucial pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
He's clearly capable of both love and deception.
And Bailey?
She's a survivor. She's been through a lot, but she's strong and resilient. I think her journey of self-discovery will be a major part of this story.
I have a feeling you're right about that.
It's like we're right there with her, experiencing this unfolding mystery.
Okay, so picture this. You're in Austin with the protagonist and Bailey.
The air is thick with heat and anticipation. And those excerpts, they drop us right into the middle of their search at the University of Texas at Austin.
Makes sense. College campuses are all about uncovering truths.
Right. What do you think about Lauradave choosing this location?
I think it's brilliant. A university is all about learning, discovery, and those non-facts Owen told Bailey. They lead them straight to a Professor Cookman's class.
Oh, yeah, Professor Cookman. He's such an interesting character. What did you think of his interactions with the protagonist and Bailey?
He's like a gatekeeper of knowledge, holding clues but not giving them up easily. And that quote he uses from Einstein. So far as the theories of mathematics are about reality, they are not certain. So far as they are certain, they are not about reality. What do you make of that?
That quote really stuck with me. What do you think it means in this story?
I think it speaks to the limitations of what we know and the uncertainty of life. Sometimes the more we learn, the less we actually know. It's like the more the protagonist learns about Owen, the less she feels like she knows him at all.
Exactly.
And those flashbacks to Owen's college days, they give us more pieces of the puzzle.
In what way?
We see his passion for engineering, his relationship with his professor, and the beginnings of his ambition. Do you think those flashbacks make him more human?
Absolutely. They give us context for his actions.
Yeah.
Maybe he was trying to create a new life, or maybe he was running from something he couldn't escape. What do you think?
I'm not sure yet. It's hard to say. But speaking of unanswered questions, remember when they hit a dead end with the class rosters?
Oh, yeah, they couldn't find Owen's name anywhere, right?
Right. It was such a setback for them. What did you make of that whole scene?
I think it's a classic part of any good mystery. Just when you think you're getting close, bam! Obstacle. It also shows how determined the protagonist is. She doesn't give up easily.
She doesn't. And then there's that flashback to the night before Owen disappeared. That scene at the hotel bar where he's so obviously troubled.
Oh, yeah. That scene was heavy.
It was. What struck you about it?
The weight of everything he wasn't saying. He refused to answer her questions. His insistence that he needed time to think. And his last words to her, I just hope Bailey doesn't wake up and find us gone. It's chilling now, knowing what we know.
It really is. And then we're back in Austin with the protagonist and Bailey still trying to find answers about Owen's past.
Okay.
This time they're focused on Catherine Kate Smith. What did you think about their efforts to find her?
It's like they're going through a maze. Dead ends, hidden passageways. Roadblocks like the librarian, who wouldn't give them information. But then they get a break with the inscription on the piggy bank that leads them to the Never Dry Bar.
Oh, man, that Never Dry Bar. What a place. It's like a character in itself.
What'd you think of it?
I loved it. Old world charm, a connection to Owen's past, and an air of mystery. What about the bartender? What'd you make of him?
I thought he was interesting, helpful, and evasive at the same time. He confirms Kate worked there, but doesn't recognize her in the photo. Like he's hiding something maybe out of loyalty to Owen.
Yeah. And then that twist. The protagonist has to leave suddenly to deal with something with Bailey. Talk about a cliffhanger.
It definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat. But it also reminds us that the protagonist isn't just a wife on a mission. She's a stepmom with responsibilities.
Responsibilities that keep getting tested, right? Between that scene at school and the FBI showing up, it's a lot to handle.
It is. But in those moments, you really see her strength.
Yeah.
How much she cares for Bailey.
Absolutely. So let's shift gears for a second and talk about Owen's past in Seattle. We learned about his work as a lawyer, the death of his daughter.
Tragic.
And the secrets that have haunted him for years. How did all that change your perception of him?
It makes him a much more complicated character. He's not just a missing person. He's a man with a past filled with both happiness and deep sorrow. Makes you wonder if he was running towards something or away from something.
Right. And those flashbacks to their early days together show a different side of him. A man who was capable of love and tenderness. Makes his deception even more heartbreaking.
It does. It really makes you question how well you can ever truly know another person, even someone you love.
So we're like detectives trying to solve this mystery alongside the protagonist, right?
That's right.
What's been the most surprising or intriguing part for you so far?
For me, it's how Vorldrevolution has built this mystery without giving too much away.
Right.
We're getting these little pieces of Owen's past.
Yeah.
But there are still so many questions. It's what makes you want to keep reading.
I agree. And those excerpts are so well chosen. Each one adds another layer to the story.
And we're not just reading along. We're active participants trying to figure out what's going on.
Exactly. And speaking of figuring things out, that's where we'll pick up in our next segment. We're back in Austin, picking up right where we left off. The protagonist and Bailey are still searching for answers about Owen, but it seems like with every answer they uncover, more questions pop up.
It's like they're going deeper and deeper into this maze with no way out.
Right. So let's talk about Eleanor H. McGovern, that church contact who helps them with information about Bailey's mother. What do you think? Does that whole storyline add something new, or does it feel kind of distracting?
I think it actually adds some emotional depth. Remember how Bailey's been repressing those memories about her mother? This search for family history lets her deal with those feelings of abandonment and maybe even find a sense of belonging she's been missing.
I see what you mean. It shows how much the protagonist cares for Bailey, too. Like, they've gone beyond just stepmother and stepdaughter now. They're a real team. And then, bam, we get that huge reveal from Carl's wife, Patty, about Owen's true identity. What a bombshell.
Totally. It's that the protagonist's whole world shatters. Everything she thought she knew about Owen was a lie.
And Patty's anger, so real and intense, you can't help but feel for her.
Absolutely. And then the lawyer, Jake, confirms it. Owen Michaels doesn't exist. Gone. Poof. Just like that. How'd you feel about the protagonist's reaction to all of this?
It was a mix of everything right. Shock, disbelief, and that desperate need to understand why.
Definitely. And remember Jake's warning. He tells her she needs to figure out why Owen ran, and it's something bigger than just protecting Bailey.
Ooh, that line gave me chills. Definitely hints at something darker going on. And speaking of darker things, those FBI agents, Naomi and Omaki,
Oh, yeah.
their interrogation was so intense. And those threats about Bailey, bone-chilling.
What do you think Laura Dave's trying to do in that scene?
I think she's cranking up the tension big time, showing us that the protagonist and Bailey are in real danger.
Makes sense. This isn't just a missing person case anymore. It's a full-blown conspiracy.
Exactly. And the protagonist's decision to go dark, to disappear, it's a huge turning point. She's not just waiting around anymore. She's taking control.
It shows how strong she's become. She's doing whatever it takes to protect herself and Bailey.
Oh.
They have that awful scene at Bailey's school.
Oh, man, that was rough.
It was. Poor Bailey being confronted by those kids about her father. It's a reminder that even when your world's falling apart, everyone else just keeps going.
And sometimes people can be so cruel, especially kids.
Sadly true. So the protagonist decides to pull Bailey out of school to protect her. It's a big decision.
It is. And then Bailey confesses that she's been repressing those memories about her mother. Wow.
Another layer to this whole complicated story. What'd you think about that?
It's heartbreaking, but it brings them closer together. They need each other now more than ever.
They do. And that leads to their decision to go to Austin.
Right. It's more than just finding Owen now. It's about uncovering the truth and finding some kind of healing.
And Austin itself becomes part of the story. All that mystery and energy.
Oh, for sure. Speaking of Austin, let's talk about their visit to the University of Texas. It's like they're walking in Owen's footsteps, trying to understand him.
Okay.
What'd you think of Professor Cookman?
Oh, he's fascinating. So intelligent, and I think he knows way more than he's letting on. And that Einstein quote he throws out about how the more we learn, the less we know. Pretty deep stuff.
I know. Makes you think. It's like every answer just leads to more questions.
It does. And the flashbacks to Owen's college days, they give us a glimpse into his past, his passions. Why do you think Laura Dave included those?
I think she wants us to see Owen as a real person, not just a villain or a mystery. By understanding his past, we can start to understand why he made the choices he did, even if we don't agree with them.
Makes sense.
But it also makes his deception even more heartbreaking. We see that he was capable of love and kindness, and then that search through the old class rosters, all that anticipation, and then bam, they don't find his name. Classic suspense.
Oh, it totally is. But it also shows how determined the protagonist is. She's not giving up.
Not even a little bit. And that scene at the hotel bar in San Francisco, right before Owen disappeared.
The tension in that scene was thick enough to cut with a knife.
I know, you can feel the weight of Owen's secrets. And that line about hoping Bailey doesn't wake up to find them gone. Chilling foreshadowing.
It is. It makes you wonder what he's running from, what he's trying to protect Bailey from.
Exactly. And then back to Austin, they go on the trail of Catherine Kate Smith. This time they end up at the Never Dry Bar.
Which seems like it's hiding just as many secrets.
Right. What'd you think about that bartender?
Such a tricky character. Helpful one minute, then evasive the next. He confirms Kate worked there, but doesn't recognize her in the photo. It's like he's playing some kind of game.
Totally. And his description of her, a total sweetheart who looked a lot like the protagonist. So many questions.
It really does make you wonder about Kate's role in all of this.
Yeah.
And then that call from Jules about the inscription on the piggy bank, Lady Paul. Things just got real.
That was huge. It's like a whole new door just opened in this mystery. And then Bailey remembers seeing a piggy bank with the same inscription in a photo from Owen's wedding. It all starts to come together.
It really does. It's like those repressed memories are the key to everything. And it strengthens the bond between Bailey and the protagonist even more. They're in this together.
Absolutely. So they go back to the Never Dry Bar, talk to the bartender again, and he confirms that Catherine Smith worked there. It's a big breakthrough, but it also puts them in danger.
Because now they're getting too close to the truth. And the people who are trying to protect Owen's secrets won't be happy about that.
Nope. And then the protagonist has to rush off to deal with something with Bailey. Another cliffhanger. Laura Dave really knows how to keep us guessing.
It's what makes this story so gripping. You're constantly on the edge of your seat. But it also makes you think about the bigger picture. How well can we ever really know another person? What secrets are we all hiding?
So true. We've been on quite a journey with The Last Thing He Told Me. A missing husband, hidden identities, corporate conspiracies, and a whole lot of twists and turns.
It's been a wild ride. But even though we've reached the end of these excerpts, I have a feeling this story and its characters will stay with us for a long time.
I think you're right. And for our listeners out there, I hope this deep dive has left you with some questions to ponder. What would you do if you were in the protagonist's shoes? Would you keep searching for answers, even if it meant putting yourself at risk? Or would you choose to protect yourself and those you love above all else?